do some quick sharing and promotion.
All right, let's do it.
So, first story in This Week in Satire. Oh, yes. I saw this and I laughed so flipping hard. Daredevil, thanks God, he's blind after learning that She-Hulk twerked with Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh, yeah.
So, just a quick reference. Danny, have you watched She-Hulk yet?
I've seen enough review videos where, like, people like the Critical Drinker, people like Nostalgic, places like that talk all about what these shows are doing. And so I'm familiar enough to know what's going on in these shows. But I have not actually sat down and watched the show. I mean, how much do you want to self-torture? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
No,
want to self-torture.
I'm watching it, but partially because it's not so much self-torture as it is. It's like, because people are like, oh, like, how can you comment and say it's terrible if you haven't even watched it? I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch it to give an honest feedback and honest review of it.
I mean, it is.
There
it is kind of
are
interesting to
okay
watch
moments.
It is fun to watch a car wreck in progress. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like,
And that's what episode 3 was. Episode 3 was a train wreck. And it was just like woke statements. The only funny statement in all of episode 3 was they're in the middle of court. And there's like this elf. And the elf is saying, they're like, oh yes, like she is the daughter of an elvish ambassador in Asgard. So she has diplomatic immunity. The judge is like, she has diplomatic immunity in Asgard. And the elf stands up. Asgard is a people, not a place. And the judge looks at her. As nice as that is to say, meaningful quotes from Thor are not admissible in court. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm like, that was actually a really funny line.
That's true.
But aside from that, it's really just like, oh, like this guy is such an evil man. And it's like,
Of course he is.
And then it's, oh yes, the group that shows up and tries to take her blood is, oh, it's all men and they're serving a big, powerful man. It's like, oh, shut up.
It's basically like, being lectured. Like, that's what I felt like watching She-Hulk would be. It would be like sitting down for 3 lectures from insufferable, like hardcore feminists.
Yeah. Well, that first episode, that first quote where she says, I have to deal with this every day and I can control my anger infinitely better than you. And he's just like, and it's like, you are so arrogant. You are the embodiment of what a feminist should not be. Like, that's the only reason. I'm just like, did they actually make this show to try and point out how annoyingly evil third-wave feminism or feminists are? Because that's
before we cuss.
It's like, because that sort of makes sense in how you're depicting the show. Because she's literally willing to kill people, not because they're like trying to assault or rape her, because they're trying to ask her name and so that they can help get her home. Because they're like, okay, like, is anybody coming for you? Are you alone? Do you need help? Like, what's your name? And she's like, I don't need this. And she goes into this rage and is about to kill them. And then the Hulk abducts her.
Wow.
And I'm like, whoa, that's messed up. And then it's like, well, maybe she can't control it. It's like, nope, she can control it. She knows what she's doing. It's like, oh, so you willingly admit that you're going to kill men just for trying to help you because you don't need no man. Anyways.
Yeah, it sounds like the kind of mental illness that people don't like to call mental illness.
Yeah.
Which is people that have literally massive problems coping with what should be a very easy to cope with situation. Like, you meet those people all the time. You meet them at the store, you meet them at the on the train or whatever else. People that just will snap at you for the littlest thing. Like, you do not have good coping mechanisms. That's
Indeed.
what this lady is.
Oh yeah, that's what She-Hulk is. Very, very poor coping mechanisms. And she has no problem admitting that. Or like, she thinks that she has great coping mechanisms.
Oh
but
yeah,
the show reveals, oh my gosh, you have terrible coping mechanisms, but because you're a woman, your coping mechanisms are automatically amazing.
Well, it's the okay. Like last thing, feminists like to argue that there's such a thing as toxic masculinity, but they never like to admit that there's such a thing as toxic femininity.
Mm-hmm.
And She-Hulk is toxic femininity. Meghan Markle is toxic femininity. Jennifer Lawrence is toxic femininity. There's a lot of toxic females out there, and
Olivia
we
Wilde.
we don't like to admit them, but they are.
Oh, we will expose
foreshadowing.
toxic femininity
foreshadowing.
all day long.
All right. Well, tell us what
All
happened.
day long.
So based on this show, what did the Babylon Bee?
Okay, so from the Babylon Bee, according to sources, Hell's Kitchen superhero Daredevil was overheard thanking God for making him go blind and saving him the horror of watching She-Hulk twerk with rap artist Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh yeah.
I have no problem facing a dozen ninjas for the hand or my own, or even battling the diabolical schemes of the Kingpin. But when I heard about She-Hulk twerking with Megan Thee Stallion, I threw up in my mouth a little bit. He said in a gruff whisper while perched on a rooftop gargoyle, "It was the first time I've ever been thankful to be blind."
No, it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. So people who did see the twerking fiasco were appalled at the sight and began crying out for the Earth's mightiest heroes to save them from the torture. Others begged for Thanos to return and end things once and for all. Josiah Smith, an eyewitness to the twerking, recounted the harrowing experience. It was also the most wretched thing I've ever seen, and I've watched Rings of Power. He said, visibly shaken by the ordeal. No one can twerk with Megan Thee Stallion and call themselves a hero.
It's true.
Publishing time, Daredevil was believed to be rethinking his entire purpose in life. That is what's required to be a superhero these days. I don't know if I have it within me. I'm supposed to be saving Hell's Kitchen from falling into a cesspool of crime, but I'm not even sure it's worth saving anymore. At publishing time, Disney Plus confirmed the next season of Daredevil will feature a dance number featuring Daredevil and Harry Styles in a dress. So, yes, rethink your life choices because it's going to get real bad.
I noticed also that Daredevil seems to sound a lot like Batman. It's very similar.
Oh, no. There is the Daredevil growl, and there is the Batman growl. I can do the Batman growl, but it will cause everyone to go deaf. I will quickly do it. Swear to me! Which I'm sure completely spazzed out my microphone.
It's like, Siri, you lie. You took me the wrong way, Siri. Why? Why you called Mary? Why's your mom Martha? That's my mother's name.
Jingly keys. Fun for babies, not for Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so
talking about other franchises,
this was not the only show that is just absolutely like devolving into like.
Now this is a show that The Rings of Power is a show that I have not watched. I will not watch until it probably goes through a first few months, just because I know that they're like, oh yes, we'll make another season if there's a lot of viewership in the first few months, and I'm like, as soon as those first few months goes over, then I will watch it, only to be like, it's not worth it.
It's like, how do I put it? The Rings of Power is like having a piece of poo and covering it in the most beautiful like candy coating. That's basically the Rings of Power in a nutshell.
Have you've watched the first few episodes? It looks gorgeous. Oh, I'm sure it does.
But it is horrible. Like the characters, the wokeism just spoon fed into your mouth. Like, enjoy? Huh? You want some more wokeism? Huh? Better like it or you're racist. It's like, ugh. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. I will not have a second bite.
I will not have a second helping of evil.
No, thank you.
Anyways.
But yeah, rightfully so. It's been lampooned by one of our favorite people.
Yep. Seamus Coughlin from Freedom Tunes. How Hollywood reboots franchises, Lord of the Rings. So watch this and enjoy, because it is amazing.
It's so good. It is so
good. Into the flames! Destroy it!
No, I don't have the strength.
Because of my disgusting white skin. Is there a black trans woman anywhere?
I am, but I won't destroy the ring, because it's actually good. The books were wrong.
And then the characters repent of their whiteness and jump into the fires of Mount Doom.
It's brilliant, but will it piss the fans off enough?
Why don't we just
Try to tell a good story.
You're such an idiot. Reboots aren't about making good stories. It's about taking something that people love and then shitting all over it. So then when they get upset, you can go,
The white man's upset.
here's what we do. Broke back Mount Doom.
It's genius.
Mr. Frodo, I'm so glad we're gay together. Me too, Sam.
No. That's not gay enough. How about this?
And that, my friends, is how you tuck it in between your legs. Next week we'll learn a binding spell for your chests.
Gandalf, what if I don't want to be a transgender?
You shall not pass!
I'm gonna write a bad review.
No. You really want to upset them? Say it appeals to you as a Trump supporter.
Brilliant.
He's like, what? Conservatives. Centrists love how colorblind are pale. Love that.
Become a member.
It is true because when you think about it, like there's a pattern that they always follow. It's almost like a game plan that they follow. Somebody takes over a beloved franchise and they completely and totally wreck it. And then when they wreck it, then they turn around and blame, like, because they blame the fans for being toxic and evil and like and the worst and all that. And they always
worst.
Well, like, look at the franchises that did that.
Oh yeah,
like, you have Star Wars. Like they did like
Moses.
horrible.
It's like, well, no, we're just critiquing because she's a very bland actress.
Oh, that was from the what do you call it?
The Obi-Wan series.
Obi-Wan series, but even like the original the movies with Rey and Finn.
Oh, the
and,
sequels. They're terrible.
Kylo Ren. They're terrible, but everyone said like, "Oh, you hate women because you don't like it." It's like, no, you can dislike a thing even if they're women. Then you have what were the other ones? There were so many other ones that they.
Oh, Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters is a good example. They like, oh, you hate women because you don't like the new Ghostbusters reboot. Like, no, we hate terrible writing, terrible acting, and terrible comedy and terrible movies. You know, like,
yep.
This is their game plan. So right now with the Rings of Power, Amazon spent well over $1 billion. This is kind of like their make or break kind of series. If they don't do well in this thing, the whole future
it's
of
so
their streaming
ridiculous because, in honesty, like the make or break Amazon show has always been one thing. What has been the make or break Amazon show?
Amazon show. I'm gonna go with The Boys.
Okay, that is the new make or break.
Okay,
but
what's the old one?
The OG is the Grand Tour.
What's the OG?
Original Gangsta.
Oh, I've not seen that one.
No. Like the OG is a slang for original gangster. It's like the OG. Teaching Mexican slang. But, yeah. Amazon Prime Video, one of the biggest selling factors has always been the Grand Tour. In which there's supposed to be a new episode coming out really soon here. And I love the Grand Tour. Because the Grand Tour, they just let the guys go. And the guys are unfiltered, uncensored, and they will say anything.
Yeah, we're just making.
And people get so mad, and they're like, "Stop getting your panties in a fritz." And I'm like, "Yes, you guys are hilarious for that reason."
But that's a good original show.
Oh, it's a great original show.
Yeah.
And they're going to continue making. They recently announced this for Grand Tour fans. Just a quick update. They will continue making videos until one of them dies. And I'm like, yes! And I will watch all of them because they are truly phenomenal.
Steven's falling into their spell. Into their little spell.
Oh, those guys are so good. Like, even for non-car guys, the Grand Tour, the final seasons of Top Gear, absolutely amazing. You will be side-splitting from how funny they are.
Yeah. I've never seen them. But so here, like what I know about like the Rings of Power is that they totally retconned what's her name, Galadriel. Galadriel originally was like very like somber and very like amazing, the elf queen or elf. What's she? A witch or something like that?
She's like a. Now, of course, Robin will get after us for our lack of proper Lord of the Rings knowledge. She's more of like well, I wouldn't say she's a queen.
No, but
She
she's
definitely
she's not
reigns
a warrior.
over. She reigns over the forest.
Yeah, but they turned her into a warrior princess that's incredibly insufferable, unlikable, and thinks everyone else but her is stupid. And she's like the most unlikable character. They put in a whole bunch of race into an entire thing where race doesn't exist, and it just went downhill. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we will.
About it, but yeah, just
Just kind of a
it's a terrible series
early synopsis of this is terrible.
Yeah, terrible show. But yeah, let's do it. Let's do
let's do the rants of the week.